Okay, welcome to art class with Miss Sanchez. Today we're going to read the book The Dot. This is by Peter H. Reynolds. This is one of my favorite books. I'm so excited to read this to you. It is about a little girl, and her name is Vashti, which is such a weird name. I've never even heard that name before. Very, very different name. And when I think of that, I think, well, the first time I remember reading this book, I thought, well, what is Vashti? But I had to think about it and say it to myself. When I open the book and I see this little girl, it must be her name. So that was one thing. The other thing I was thinking about today is, does everyone draw the same? Like when you're drawing and you look at your friend next to you, are they drawing the same thing that you are? Probably not, right? So that was one thing that I wanted to ask you guys. And then when it's okay to make your own art, right? It's okay to see where it takes you. So that's one thing I want you to think about when we are reading The Dot today. And it's all about effort and experimentation. What is experimentation? It is when you just try new things, right? You don't always know where it's going to go, but you're thinking to yourself, I can just experiment. I can draw different things and see what happens, right? And then another thing is, what are your favorite colors? My favorite color is, well, the rainbow, right? I always say that's my favorite color is the rainbow because I love all the colors so equally. But what are your favorite colors? So that's something to think about too when we read today. What are your favorite colors? So we talked about the main character, so we're going to start reading. And there might be some things that I stop and we talk about because sometimes it gets confusing, right? So art class was over, but Vashti sat glued to her chair. Her paper was empty. And empty, what does empty mean? Nothing on it, right? So you can see that she's sitting there with nothing. Vashti's teacher leaned over the blank paper. Ah, a polar bear in a snowstorm, she said. Very funny, said Vashti. I just can't draw. A polar bear in a snowstorm? What does that mean? A polar bear, let's think about it. A polar bear is white and a snowstorm is white, right? So that means she's not drawing anything. It's white on white. How crazy. So polar bear in a snowstorm. Her teacher smiled. Just make a mark and see where it takes you. A drawing mark, right? We look at the word mark here. A mark is just a little drawing or something that could just be like a little squiggle or a little bit of a mark, a part, like if you just went like this on a piece of paper, that's a mark or a line. And so that's what a mark is. So just make a mark and see where it takes you. Vashti grabbed a marker and gave the paper a good strong jab. There, she said. Her teacher picked up the paper and studied it carefully. She said. She pushed the paper toward Vashti and quietly said, now sign it. What does sign it mean? I'm wondering what sign it means. That means when you sign, it means you're actually writing your name. I know that's something that we don't always talk about is sign. Sometimes I'll say, write your name on the piece of paper at the bottom so I know it's your paper, right? But sign it is something that artists do so that everyone knows that they wrote that they drew that art piece. Let's go to the next one. Vashti thought for a moment, well, maybe I can draw, but I can't draw, but I can sign my name. So she signed her name at the dot. See? The next week, when Vashti walked into art class, she was surprised to see what was hanging above her teacher's desk. It was the little dot she had drawn, her dot, all framed in swirly, whirly gold. I can make a better dot than that, she said. She opened her never-before-used set of watercolors and set to work. Vashti painted and painted a yellow dot, a green dot, a red dot, and a blue dot. The blue mixed with red, she discovered that she could make a purple dot. Vashti kept experimenting. That's that word experimenting we talked about, where Experimenting is just kind of like going with it and trying and drawing and seeing where it takes you, right? Lots of little dots in many colors. I'm going to stop there.